Welcome, Mr. Jain.
Hi, Puneet. Thank you.
So let me start off by asking you, are you concerned about the runaway rally seen in equity markets right now? Or are you happy with the retail investors that have tasted blood and lashed onto the equity bandwagon?
There's a tendency of equity markets to have a rally which can be scary, and they can always have corrective phases which are equally scary. So it's like if you're playing football, you'll get hurt. You can't say that, no, I want to play football and people should come in the queue. So if you're part of stock market, then these kind of volatile and strong movements are part of it. Market can correct at any point in time, can give you significant losses. But longer term, because you're part of Indian economy and which is growing very well, you'll make more money in equity market, probably whatever alternate investments like bank fixed deposit or bond, equity markets will beat. So if you ask me personally, of course, I'm invested in equity, and I believe in last 30 years, stocks have generally done well for people who are investors and not traders, people who don't leverage but put on their own savings, and people who allocate their assets carefully so that you always keep some part of your money in fixed income and liquid, so that you're not forced to sell when you don't want to sell. I think I'm happy about the retail participation for 2-3 reasons. One is, if you really look at the stock market from 1994 till 2014 or even till today, the stock markets have given phenomenal returns. On an average, they might have given a return of 15%, which is far more than, say, bank fixed deposit. And in this time period, the ownership of foreign investors has gone up significantly at the cost of retail investors. So if you look at a scenario where, say, people could have held on to assets for longer term equity assets, then our retail investors would have been much wealthier and much richer because they kept selling and foreign investors kept buying. So when a growing economy creates wealth, that wealth basically is in the form of equity significantly. And if our retail investors and our people, which can be your relatives, my relatives, our friends, your friends, who are individuals, they participate, is always a good thing to do. At the same time, there's a concern that many times people get carried away by the way the wealth and the profit grows. Sometimes they get carried away by the poor quality stocks, which sometimes rise very quickly, and they burn their fingers. But from a long-term point of view, it's a good thing to do that retail investors become a significant force to reckon with.
So how has the retail broking business done in this backdrop? And how have the discount brokerages made life difficult for the traditional ones now?
Discount broking numbers of customers have gone up at a very rapid pace, and that basically have unsettled many traditional brokers. So strategically, many of them are getting lost in terms of whether they should change discount broking, whether the whole market will become discount broking, or there will still be a requirement for full service broking. So what happens in equity is that the brokerage is not is a small part of the cost, okay? Because you have other charges also. Let's say STT, or
Yes.
exchange charges and those things. So that is one part. Secondly, when you're investing for long term, you really don't mind paying a small fee if provided your advisory or research service is worth it, and also depends on your temperament. So there are a large number of customers, in particular millennials, who are like more self-directed. They are basically in the social media and Google, and they try to get all answers on internet. They are the customers who are more on this discount broking platform. But then there's a segment of customers who actually have more investable surplus, and they look for research and service. They are there on the other platform also. Even when these millennials grow, and so I think there will always be a requirement for two types of services. So you'll always have a full service restaurant and a fine dining, and you'll always have a pizza stores and takeaways. They'll coexist.
Okay. So there was a proposal by SEBI on the T+1 settlement. Is the infrastructure ready at your end, at the broking end?
So the infrastructure has to be ready not only at our end, but also at the end of large investors' funds. As I said, that the foreign funds and mutual funds, they become very significant investors. Many of them operate in different time zones. I think brokers will be a very easy problem to solve. But we have to look at the funds, and particularly those who are operating in different time zones, whether they're able to cope up.
So talking about your finance vertical, how is the credit offtake shaping up across segments now?
Credit offtake is picking up. As we speak, last quarter was better. But I think the second half, and which is the peak festival season as well as the year end, I think we'll see a significant pickup. So in all segments of businesses that we do, retail businesses, we are seeing that credit offtake is picking up month after month. There are a little bit of hesitancy in July and August, but as we go into September and October in particular, we are seeing that the demand is picking up very well.
Do you see this demand sustaining, or once the festival season is over, the busy season is over, it will taper off?
No, I think demand will sustain, probably will gather momentum because home loans and residential segment after a long time is recovering. If the interest rates remain low, then we'll see that the home loan basically will continue to sustain the growth and momentum. So I think the pre-requirement there will be that the interest rates have to remain at a lower level for home loan segment and the mortgages. And even for gold loan and SME loans, I think that the business activity picks up, which is very likely. Unless there's a COVID wave 3, which is brutal or significant, which is unlikely in my personal opinion, we'll see that the economic recovery will keep getting momentum, getting strength, and that will keep driving demand for credit growth.
So with the RBI giving out licenses for small finance banks, is the lending space becoming a little more overcrowded?
So, the supply for credit is not determined by number of players. It's determined by your capital, and because that gives you the power to leverage. I think that the economy is growing. It's a $3 trillion economy. And I don't think that the few licenses of small finance bank is going to tilt demand or supply in any significant manner.
So what are the risks to the economy and hence the markets do you foresee over the next 6 to 12 months?
Risk to economy obviously is a COVID or a geopolitical risk or what has happened world over. Most of the central governments have done quantitative easing and pumped in money, printed money. And in this kind of scenario, if there's one more crisis of any type, it's very difficult for governments and central banks to cope up with that. Because all of them are already over leveraged. All of them have basically printed money and their balances have become a little risky. So this has to pass through. This has to sail through over a period of time.
So one last question. What's your advice to investors now?
Be diversified but selective, of course. So select good stocks, but diversify, because the one good feature of this rally is a broad base. It's not driven by one or two sectors. So it's not like only IT rally or a banking rally. You have great opportunities across. So you can diversify the portfolio, but be selective in terms of good stocks and don't get into the jet quality or just by speculative fervor that okay, this stock will double, triple. So control your greed, don't leverage, and invest in a good selective portfolio.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. That's all for now. Hope to see you soon.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.